Hey guys, this is Andrew from Grasping Triumph. Imagine if you could think faster, focus longer, and make better decisions in less time. Imagine if you could maintain a positive mood for longer periods of time and effortlessly feel comfortable in any social situation. Most believe that there are no shortcuts to self-improvement. However, that's not strictly true. For lasting permanent improvements that aren't dependent on external aids, it is true that you have to work hard and make changes on the inside. However, that's not always what we need. Sometimes we just need to relentlessly focus for a day to pass some exam or test or something. And sometimes we have really garbage days and we just have to go to some social event and we need a little help to socialize in a friendly manner and not vent too loud and, just get by. And that's where nootropics come in. So humans have always used different herbs and compounds to alter their consciousness. It's only recently that scientists have been able to extract the active compounds from these substances to isolate the desired effects. With advancing science has come the optimization of these natural compounds for specific purposes within humans. This shift started with the research of a chemist named Corneliu E. Gierge. He was attempting to synthesize a derivative of the body's major inhibitory neurotransmitter, GABA, GABA, to cross the blood-brain barrier and induce relaxation and a reduction in stress. Instead, he created pyrostem, the very first nootropic. Dr. Gierge coined the term nootropic from the word nous in Greek for mind and tropin for towards or to bend. Since then, countless nootropics have been discovered, like anti-racem and oxyracem. However, not every psychoactive compound is considered a nootropic. Modafinil, for instance, is not considered a nootropic, as it causes damage if used in the long term. Dr. Gierge created the most widespread definition of what a nootropic is. He defined a nootropic as a compound that must enhance learning and memory, enhance learned behavior under conditions known to disrupt them, protect the brain from chemical and physical injury, enhance the tonic cortical and subcortical control mechanisms, exhibit few side effects and extremely low toxicity, and be lacking the pharmacology of typical psychotropic drugs, like sedation and motor stimulation. Basically, they need to promote long-term brain health and enhance the basic functions of the brain. They're cognitive enhancers without the side effects like strange hallucinations or uncomfortable anxieties that many other cognitive enhancers have, LSD being a notable example. Nootropics are very simple to take. They don't require needles, bongs, or complicated paraphernalia. For the most part, you just pop them in your mouth and you're set. There are really only two ways you can take nootropics, and both involve just putting them in your mouth. These two methods are orally. So most nootropics are either powdered or in capsules, which can be hard-pressed, or gel capsules filled with powders. Taking these types is as simple as it seems, just down the hatch, swallow them. If taken orally, something called solubility comes into play. Basically, it's the medium that the substances break down in. For some nootropics, it's water, and for others, it's fat. The water-soluble nootropics like oxyracem you want to take on an empty stomach. The fat-soluble nootropics you want to take after having eaten something with the fat in the last 15 minutes. The other method is sublingually. Some nootropics need to get into your bloodstream and across the blood-brain barrier to work their magic. The simplest way to take these varieties is sublingually, or by putting the powder under your tongue and letting it dissolve and be absorbed. Solubility is irrelevant to sublingual nootropics, as they avoid the digestive system entirely and go straight into the bloodstream. There are several different types of nootropics out there, each of which has many different options. These categories, with a few prominent examples, are racetams. These are the most common and popular type of nootropics. Racetams increase the user's cognitive ability by stimulating the acetylcholine receptors. Acetylcholine is a compound throughout the nervous system which functions as a neurotransmitter. Neurotransmitters being chemicals in the brain which send signals between brain cells. The increased activity helps with memory, learning, focus, motivation, and other areas of cognition. Some prominent examples of racetams are pyrostem, premiracem, oxyracem, nephirostem, and phenylpyrostem. A recently created class of nootropic falls roughly into this category as well, named ampicines. However, some consider it its own category since these compounds have higher risks of neural damage than racetams, and they affect the glutamine receptors more than the acetylcholine. Choline and acetylcholine intermediate is the second one. These help potentiate the effects of the racetams by increasing the amount of acetylcholine in the brain, which give the racetams more acetylcholine receptors to stimulate. The choline options like choline bitartrate are cheaper, but have higher chances of causing unwanted side effects, whereas the acetylcholine options like alpha-GPC or centrophenoxine can cause effects similar to racetams, as well as potentiate the racetams effects. The third category is synthetic B vitamin derived nootropics. These are derived from B vitamins, and like B vitamins, promote a better energy, mood, and memory. Some examples are sobutiamine and pyritinol. Then there are natural nootropics. These nootropics occur naturally without any sort of chemical intervention. They're just out there in nature. They each have different effects, but as with any nootropic, they all promote better cognition and mood without many side effects. Some prominent examples are vinpocetine, huperzine A, L-theanine, and bacopamine. Peptide nootropics. There are various nootropics that fit into this category, which include the likes of Noopept, which is a nootropic peptide derivative, and Semax, which is a heptapeptide derived from corticopin, or the stress hormone. And finally, smart drugs. And some would say smart drugs aren't even nootropics at all, but for clarity's sake, I'll include them as a category, just to show the comparison. So smart drugs are things like Adderall and modafinil, which again aren't typically thought of as nootropics because they can damage the brain if used in the long term. However, they are extremely effective, as with nootropics, and they promote intense levels of focus and clarity of thought. If you've heard of modafinil, you know how widely regarded it is as the de facto smart drug, and you may also know it's illegal to purchase in North America. But to get around that, you can buy adrafinil, which metabolizes into modafinil in the liver. It is slightly hemotoxic or damaging to the liver, but if taken on occasion, it's no more damaging than like a drink or two. And there are hundreds of nootropics out there. The ones I mentioned here, the 10 or 15, are just kind of a sample. So, if you have other options you prefer, I'm not saying these are the best, they're just simply options. And as you can no doubt imagine, you rarely take one of these nootropics alone. You can, but it's often not the most effective way. What you do is stack them in order to benefit from their complementary effects. For instance, by stacking alpha-GPC and pyristem, you potentiate the effects of the pyristem and reduce the likelihood of unwanted side effects from both, as well as getting some benefit from the alpha-GPC in its own right. What's controversial about nootropics is that everyone seems to get different results from different nootropics. Because things like mood, memory, and motivation level out in the real world are subjective, most people have very different experiences with all of these nootropics. And while they're usually good, sometimes they're not. But given the potential advantages of them, it's worth the risk. The best way to start with nootropics is to get a few different varieties and experiment with the effects. For instance, by grabbing some pyristem, alpha-GPC, vinpocetine, and stacking them, you get the focus, mood lifting, and energy of the pyristem. The alpha-GPC potentiates the pyristem and makes it safer. And then the vinpocetine increases blood circulation in the brain, which potentiates the effects of both. It boosts memory in its own right and reduces the risk of damage even further from the pyristem. So you can see from this example how mixing and matching these can get you some potent and incredibly effective combinations. For more information about nootropics in general, you can go to Nutriment and Powder City. It's where I buy all my nootropics. However, if they're not to your liking, you can also order bulk powders from Peak Nootropics or Serotropic. And if you're interested in pre-made stacks, the most popular brand is On It and their Alpha Brain. They have a bunch of different products too. And you can really just buy bulk nootropics anywhere just by Googling the name of the one you're looking for and say, buy in bulk. And you can usually find stuff too on eBay and Amazon. It's all good as long as it works. Check reviews. So Powder City I like though because they have minimal shipping cost to Canada. There's no payment on delivery or any sort of cash on delivery border fee, which stuff from the US normally does have if imported into Canada. And a note for shipping only to Canada is you're only allowed to legally buy them for personal use. So any quantity deemed above personal use will be confiscated at the border. And they don't tell you. They just take them. So that kind of sucks. But, just make sure you don't order too much at a time. So, nootropics do seem sort of dodgy, I think, to a lot of people. But I want to make a comparison just to show you that it's sort of just early in their span of being accepted. So there was once a time when weightlifting was considered strange. People thought moving heavy iron around just put the body at risk for damage and changed things that weren't meant to be changed. But since then, time has passed, and enough evidence has come up to prove the benefits of weightlifting and exercise in general. Enough people have done it, it's gradually been accepted into society, and people have gradually realized through empirical evidence and subjective results that it is good for you to exercise, to just be healthier. And nootropics are the same kind of concept. They're just earlier in their acceptance in society. So while they are good for us, people just haven't used them, experimented enough. There just isn't enough use out there, empirical evidence, for people to be convinced of their viability yet. There will be. Yeah, I mean, like nowadays, anyone who is making a living athletically has to lift weights. It's sort of a requirement, not even a choice. And I think in the future, nootropics will sort of be similar in that sense, in that the potential benefits of them are just so good and the risks are so few that so many people will be using them and getting a leg up off the people that aren't, that it's almost going to become necessary to use them in order to not be outcompeted by the people who you're competing with who are taking them, simply because they are that effective, and they will be, I think, that ubiquitous. I mean, for instance, I tried writing this article for like an hour and making the podcast by virtue of that, and I barely wrote a word. It's a complicated subject, and it's not often fun writing about the scientific backing behind stuff like this. But I took 4.8 grams of pyrostem, which is medically noted to be the best dose, a few hours ago, and since then I've created a consistent stream of words, thoughts, citations, ideas for comics, and it's flowed really smoothly. And that's what nootropics can do for you. If you're struggling, they can help you to solve whatever issue you're having. If you want to lucid dream, if you want to focus on a project, if you want to go and socialize, there are different nootropics, different stacks, different things that can help you do that. And that's why I recommend them, because if you use them smartly and you don't abuse them, they can help you with whatever those issues you have are. And they can do it cheaply and easily. Take a little powder, and like taking a vitamin, it just improves some aspect of yourself. Only it's your cognition which is more noticeable. Instead of like taking a vitamin which improves your immune system, which you don't experience physically more, it sort of just happens in the background. Nootropics are sort of like that, except you physically experience the benefits too and you notice them. And that's kind of cool too, because experimenting with weight, changing your cognition is eye-opening. So in conclusion, nootropics do work. You just have to use them in moderation, and when you do, truly need them. So the key points of this are nootropics can be selectively used to improve a variety of areas of cognition. These areas of cognition are focus, mood, recall, socializing, and learning. Humans have always tried to advance their cognition using herbs and natural flora. Dr. Girga synthesized the first nootropic, pyrostem. To be a nootropic, a compound must promote long-term brain health and enhance the basic functions of the brain. Nootropics can be taken orally or sublingually. If taken orally, they can either be water or fat soluble. If water soluble, take on an empty stomach. If fat soluble, eat within 15 minutes before taking. If taken sublingually, allow it to dissolve under the tongue to allow the substance access to the bloodstream. There are several different types of nootropics: rastams, choline and acetylcholine intermediates, synthetic B vitamin-derived nootropics, natural nootropics, peptide nootropics, and smart drugs. Mix and match different nootropics in stacks to achieve desired effects such as focus for studying or social ease and recall for socializing. Nootropic effects are subjective, so take small doses at first and experiment to find what works for you. Research the various types of nootropics at Nutriment and buy bulk powders from Powder City, or design capsule stacks from On It. Nootropics are like weightlifting used to be. The positive effects are gradually being appreciated in spite of the slight danger, and eventually their use will become ubiquitous and expected. Thank you for listening. This has been Andrew from Grasping Triumph. Have a good one.